Now, what if Encanto was a world? What would it look like, sound like, be like? I've been obsessed with this thought and the music for Encanto ever since watching the film on Disney+. These characters, the story, the music especially, and the way it was all executed has had me in a trance for quite some time now. One of the coolest parts about being a Kingdom Hearts fan is that whenever there's a Disney movie this good, there's a decent chance of it being in a future Kingdom Hearts game. Meaning we get to discuss and fantasize over the possibility something like that would hold together, while also anticipating upcoming titles. I, for one, have this movie pretty high up there for worlds I want in Kingdom Hearts. If you are among those, however, who have not watched Encanto, well, it's on Disney+, go watch it, please. Though I must mention, this video may contain spoilers for the movie and its plot, so you have been warned. So the idea, what if this magical world was just a world out of many in the Kingdom Hearts franchise? Who would visit this world? What would the story be? How would it add to our characters or to the Kingdom Hearts universe? Well, I thought about this world from multiple perspectives, mostly the perspectives of Sora and Kairi. Sora naturally just fits into a lot of these Disney worlds. Given his character's emotionally aware nature, he can sympathize with just about any Disney protag. He's not always right about everything, but he's always a good ear any character can vent their frustrations to, which is exactly what Mirabel needed a bit more of herself in this movie. Being the only non-magical person in a magical family does take a mental toll on her, even if she's trying her best to hide it, look at the bright side, or be grateful for what she has. That feeling is still there. Something I kind of find to be a interesting potential plot line for this world if any Keyblade wielders were to show up would be the dynamic they would have with Mirabel, or if there'd even be much of one. Sora and the Guardians are just as magical as the rest of Mirabel's family, if not more, honestly, given all their powers. Mirabel seeing someone even outside of her own family having magical powers could escalate the feeling she already has about not even feeling special in her own family. Though now she knows there's a bigger universe out there and potentially more people like Sora, so it makes her feel even less special. This is what I think could happen if any of the Guardians had an encounter with Mirabel, though that depends on the scenario. Like, do we meet Mirabel while saving her from a group of Heartless? Do we just casually land in this world for some unspecified reason, perhaps like something guiding us here? Do we even land in this world during the plot of the movie, or is it taking place after? I think it's pretty interesting if we land in during the plot of the movie for a scenario I have in mind. So keep everything we just said about what might happen with Mirabel if she were to encounter a Keyblade wielder and how that could make her feel. Knowing Mirabel, she'd likely still be bright and cheerful in person, but it could make her feel worse on the inside. Imagine Sora before revealing his powers in a more casual encounter. No Heartless, no things to fight, they're just chilling, walking throughout town and meet Mirabel. Sora finds out from interacting with the rest of the family that Mirabel has no gift and she feels embarrassed. Sora, taking notice of this, has a goal to try and solve this world's problems in private. Kind of like they were supposed to be doing anyway since KH1, but barely ever do now, just to keep the gag going. Donald, of course, would point this out that they should be doing this anyways, though in Sora's case, he's doing it because he doesn't want to add to Mirabel's feelings about being born without a gift. This would create funny interactions throughout the world of Sora trying to defeat Heartless super fast in the background or around corners away from Mirabel, while also trying to learn more about her family and what's causing this world's problems. She eventually would, of course, find out, but to Sora's surprise, it doesn't actually make her feel that bad. She's actually happy that someone would go out of their way to try and not make her feel that way, especially considering the contrast with her family pretty much just flaunting their powers at every given moment. I mean, it is a part of who they are after all, in which Mirabel reassures Sora that even though she was born without a gift, she is still a Madrigal, and that she just wants to be there for her family and feel a part of it. This creates a nice dynamic with Sora and Mirabel that would be the foundation for this world, I'd imagine, and make things interesting. There are a couple routes you could go to make this a little less goofy, but I think it'd be heartwarming. Some are probably wondering how Sora would be in this world if he's, well, gone. Well, in my mind, an Encanto world is not likely to show up too soon. soon. I would be very surprised, in fact, if it did. But considering this movie released at the end of 2021, and we know that based on Kingdom Hearts 3, Disney worlds are decided relatively early into the game's developments, that an Encanto world might not actually pop up in Kingdom Hearts until, like, I'd say at the earliest 2 to 3 years from now. But a lot of us are expecting a couple of Kingdom Hearts games at a minimum during that time span, so there's no telling how the story is going to progress. So using Sora as a baseline for Disney worlds makes a lot of sense to me, even for an Encanto world with those factors in mind. What about Kairi though? How would her dynamic with Mirabel work? We have no major reference for Kairi in World, since she is still pretty new to this Keyblade thing, though experience combat-wise still would be very new to going to Worlds and traveling. So I think Kairi might be a lot more observant and might not have as many spontaneous interactions as, say, Sora would have. She'd probably not directly interact with Mirabel or the Madrigals without a specific reason to, especially if Aqua is tagging along with her since she is training her, if that's still happening at this point in the story. I think it would be neat to see a more nervous Kairi, kind of scared to interact with some of these characters, and having Mirabel kind of guide her and comfort her in these conversations. This being because Kairi isn't used to this. She's still learning the ropes when it comes to visiting worlds, and is trying to analyze what exactly to do and what she's supposed to find. Kairi would probably take notice to Mirabel's situation, and even be able to relate to a degree. For a small amount of time at the beginning of the series, Kairi didn't have a Keyblade. Although she is a princess of heart, Kairi was forced to just sit there back at the island waiting for Sora and Riku, although she didn't remember the specifics. Mirabel was told by Abuela at the beginning of the movie that the best thing some of us can do while talking directly to Mirabel was step aside, which isn't quite what Kairi did, and it isn't quite what Mirabel did either. Despite the situations both were in while the rest of their family or friends got to help the world or help the town, they wanted to be more, do more, and didn't let them not having a Keyblade or not having a gift bog them down. While those are similar personality traits they do have, the difference between Kairi and Mirabel would still be prevalent. Kairi is very gifted at this point, having a Keyblade and also being a Princess of Heart, though she has been used against her friends at almost every turn, so I doubt Kairi really views those as gifts. She probably thinks it's her fault Sora is gone in the first place. But I feel like these two characters have a mutual drive to try their best no matter how limited they feel or what happened in the past or while they were growing up, whether it's to prove to themselves or prove to those around them. Those are some brief thoughts about how the dynamics between Mirabel and some characters could be. But what about the main plot of the world though? What reason does Sora or perhaps others have to be there? And what are they searching for or trying to find? Well, no matter who visits the Encanto after lots of thinking and speculation, one thing is for sure, we're gonna have to talk about Bruno. Whenever I think of potential storylines, plot lines for this world, a true reason for any of our main characters to be there, Bruno always comes to mind. This is the case whether it's Sora, whether it's Kairi, Riku, Roxas, whomever. Bruno's powers to see into the future or give visions could be vital for any hints, mysteries, answers to future storylines. Perhaps if we're visiting this world as Kairi and Sora is still gone, the story could turn into talking to Bruno and getting him to do a vision for you. That vision giving even further hints as to where Sora is, or maybe greater hints as to where the story may go, of course with it being probably vague. Maybe Kairi sees visions of a girl trapped calling out for help, characters with animal mask and a Keyblade, or just any hint of a coming conflict. She probably wouldn't know what to make of it, but it would make for an interesting storyline, while also involving the story of this world enough in future story developments. I really do wonder, considering the song We Don't Talk About Bruno's popularity, if they would just put the song in the world similar to Frozen and reanimate it. I'd probably love to see a version of the song with Sora in the background. I think that would be pretty funny. Kind of similar to how Mirabel during the scene when they're all at the table is just sitting in the back nervously like, what the heck are y'all doing? And just keeps walking. Actually, talking about it, I might need this now. On top of Bruno being a big reason to visit this world, there's also the discussion from fans about Mirabel being a potential Princess of Heart Heart. Personally, I don't see Mirabel as a Princess of Heart. It's not impossible, but as I've mentioned in past videos, I already have my thoughts on who the remaining Princesses of Heart are. Though with Encanto being a very recent movie, that also has a factor in why I don't believe she'd be one. However, the most major reason why is because I just don't think Mirabel being a Princess of Heart fits with her story or character, as well as just having her there normally. This is Kingdom Hearts after all, and anything is a possibility, though compared to a Moana, Tiana, or any of the other unused princesses, I think Mirabel is just unlikely as a Princess of Heart, but who knows? One of the things Mirabel often tells herself is that she is just as special as the rest of the family. Though she knows she can't control the weather, talk to animals, or anything, she still wants to prove her worth and her value to her family. But it's even more than just that. She also genuinely just cares for them. During the course of events throughout the movie, while she is definitely trying to save the family miracle on her own, she ends up getting even closer with Isabella and Luisa, her sisters, finding Bruno and actually talking to him, comforting him when no one has in years, seeing he's been alone all this time and not only coming to him for help, but also having a heart-to-heart with him, admitting that all she wants to do is make the family proud of her. These dynamics and aspects of her character are things that I think have more dialogue value than just her being a Princess of Heart the foretellers or something are after, allowing Isabella to open up and shed some of that anxiety of a forceful marriage and this whole perfect persona that she lets on to keep appearances, letting Luisa sing her heart out about all the pressure that is on her shoulders, which the song ends in the most adorable sisterly hug. No words after the song, Mirabel just hugs her. Man, I love this movie. I want to see interactions like that with the Kingdom Hearts cast. Things like that being the main reason I like the Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts in the first place. I love my epic Disney or Heartless boss fights or organization cutscene about why they happen to be there, though a big draw for me into Disney and Pixar worlds for Kingdom Hearts is the cool dynamics between Disney character and Kingdom Hearts character, and seeing how they have an effect on them in the story, big or small, or just what interactions come from it. As an example, there's a scene in Days on the DS that's left out of the movie, as the movie cuts out all gameplay in most Disney worlds. Throughout a couple missions in Agrabah, Roxas and Xion encounter Genie at the end. During one of these interactions, Roxas asks about the city in the desert, Agrabah. Genie says that it's Owl's hometown and mentions that when they first met, they were inseparable, until after the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, he went on a little vacation, though he was worried about how Owl was doing and wanted to check on him. Roxas questions the word inseparable, not quite getting what Genie means by that, also wondering why Genie was worried. Genie explaining how it was only natural to worry about their friends and was wondering how the city was holding up. Roxas tells him about how the city has been getting hit by sandstorms and is in a rough shape. This was to Genie's surprise, though he was ready to fix it up in a snap, but Roxas told Genie that Owl wanted the people in the city to be the ones to fix it up, and that this is no job for magic. Genie is sad as he wants to help, but also wants to respect Owl's wishes. Roxas starts thinking about this as that concept doesn't resonate with him, or didn't previously, since he isn't fully understanding of what a friend even is yet at this point in the game, and is still learning, both him and Xion. Genie does end up offering a bit of help anyways, but instead of fixing up the entire city, he just gets rid of the sandstorm. During this though, Roxas and Xion just disappear. We then resume at the clock tower where Roxas, Xion, and Axel discuss the events of the mission. Xion says we ran into some interesting characters this time, taking notice at how worried Genie was about Owl, but seeing that you can't always jump in and do everything for your friends even if you want to. Axel responds to this with people need their space. Roxas then chimes in and says, then why did Genie say he and Owl were inseparable, directly referencing that moment as it's something that has been on Roxas's mind. Roxas and Xion taking it literally, it seems, which is the cause for their confusion, of course because they aren't used to these sorts of things or friends. Axel explains by saying he thinks you can be inseparable even if you are apart, if you feel really close to each other, if you're best friends. Roxas would then proceed to ask what it's like having a best friend. Axel then says, couldn't tell ya, I don't have one, in which Roxas just says, oh, with the sad icon in the corner as it pans to the sunset. That was a long tangent to go on, but I wanted to be thorough in saying that interactions like the one Genie, Roxas, and Xion had directly leading into that conversation they would have on the clock tower adds a lot to these moments. Similar dynamics like that are ones I want to see more more of. Genuine interactions that are emphasized and become even better when you know of each character's story and history. Roxas and Xion questioning those things makes sense because they don't have the understanding of what a friend is. That was an opportunity where they learned something from Genie, or he said something that they questioned and they pondered it and even had a conversation about it later. The value in these interactions only make the bigger moments throughout these games better and more effective. Having thought-provoking interactions that make a character question the way they think about something or provide a heartwarming scene and discussion with the playable character is what I look forward to so much in these worlds, and they add so much to the game for me. With Encanto having lots of themes about generational trauma to opening up to those close to you, I think this movie would be perfect and has potential to reach a new peak with crossovers between the Kingdom Hearts characters and the Madrigal family when it comes to dialogue and thought-provoking interactions. Moving on from dialogue and potential plot lines, a Disney World needs to be interesting and fun to explore through. The Encanto at a surface level, however, seems rather self-contained compared to other worlds we've been to, which some may think to be a problem for this world's exploration, which I think that's fair, though I disagree. Square Enix has made full worlds out of movies that don't have really any crazy scenery or environments. The Encanto itself provides an interesting environment, but the main areas you'd really explore would probably be the casita and the town, which we don't see that much of in the movie, but from where Dolores is standing, does seem like it could offer a decent bit of exploration depending on the plot, though the main thing I'd like to explore gameplay-wise in an Encanto world would be the rooms. Imagine a similar story to the one we have already, with the miracle dying, but add a little twist to it. Make it so that some dark forces are at work and they kind of mess up the rooms a little bit. Even with the family's powers, they can't fix everything by themselves, so instead of these oversized rooms for their powers, they turn into these gigantic dungeons themed after each character's gifts. This could give us a chance to explore other Madrigal's rooms we haven't seen, like Luisa's, Dolores, and potentially seeing crazier versions of Isabella's and Bruno's rooms. We've seen concept art of what would be Luisa's room, and expanding upon things like this would be awesome to see in a game. This could have a similar feel to Timeless River with the windows, but like times 10. Maybe they get trapped in their rooms and we have to save them or something. I think that idea would be pretty cool. This would probably work best for a plot that takes place after the movie though, but I could see it happening during as well, depending on how much Kingdom Hearts shenanigans they add to the story. Well, Encanto has been my latest Disney obsession, and 2 months after it releasing, I'm still listening to We Don't Talk About Bruno almost every day. I mostly just want this world in Kingdom Hearts because I loved this movie so much and want to see more of it. I've heard rumors of a potential Disney Plus show to this movie, which this movie needs one, please. So a potential world for this movie could follow a plot line that the show follows. This movie was just so colorful, emotional, and just had resonated with me in a way I truly did not expect. This movie is really beautiful, and it just keeps climbing higher and higher on my favorite Disney movie list. Currently sitting near the top 5 right now, but it's making a convincing argument for top 3. I love Disney musicals more times than not, so the music being as good as it is definitely helps that ranking. This is actually the first video in a series I wish to do about Kingdom Hearts and Disney Worlds. I'd like to appear in the future, or even past ones that I would like to return. There's so many Disney properties that I think could fit into Kingdom Hearts super well, or environments I want to see expand upon in a AAA game. One of the most major draws to me with Kingdom Hearts is seeing some of my favorite movies expanded or playable, while also seeing Sora interact with some characters I grew up with, or new characters I've become really fond of. With Encanto, I would love to see characters like Sora interact with Isabella or Camilo, whether it's during the plot of the movie or something that takes place after. Seeing how Sora would try to fit in with the town and its people, it'd be really fun and hopefully a memorable experience. Tell me what you think about Encanto World in Kingdom Hearts. Are you for it? What sort of ideas would you have for this world? Let me know down below. But thank you so much for watching this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it, which if you did, you already know what to do. Leave a like, share the video with a friend or a family member, and last but not least, if you haven't already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking about him. No more room in this picture for you to fit in. Now she's crying on the phone, telling you she's not good enough for him. When you think that she is